Welcome back. Hemant Sikka joining us now, President Farm Equipment Sector M&M. And interesting to talk to him at a time when we're looking at demand coming back, particularly in the rural segment for tractors, for example. Let's get into that discussion with him. Mr. Sikka, thanks so much for joining us this morning. What's the on-ground momentum like? Share with us really what you're seeing. Are you seeing momentum returning? We're hearing good reports, especially from rural, demand for tractors, for example, even semi-urban markets. Just share with us the kind of pickup you've seen.
Yeah, so clearly, we are seeing very, very robust demand. This kind of demand we have not seen in a very, very long time. So basically, it is because of all the positive factors which have come together. We have had a very good Rabi crop. The procurement has been very good. The price realizations by the farmers has been very good. And you can see now the monsoon is progressing very well. The water reservoir levels are twice that of 10-year average levels. So with all of this, is clearly all the factors, positive factors coming together, and that is coming up with a very robust demand in the rural segment.
Is this demand here to stay, Mr. Sikka? Because that's the big question, isn't it? If it's temporary or if it's momentum that you see will actually sustain. Are you confident of seeing that? Because April to June also traditionally are slightly stronger, for farm equipment, and we have seen massive pent-up demand as well. But once that's met with, what do you foresee?
Yeah, so say clearly, as you start from April, this is our season time. So April, May, June is kind of season where traditionally the tractor demand is always very high. But there is one difference that we are seeing this year is that the kind of demand, the kind of throughput, the kind of inquiry levels from the dealers that we are seeing, we have not seen in a long time. That is one difference. The second is that with a good Rabi crop followed by a potentially good Kharif crop, where now that the sowing has started and the sowing has been very good, progressing very good. So these two factors will give us a very good outlook that going into the future months also, the demand is going to be very good. Just to give you some data points here, that on Kharif side, generally at this point of time, it is by June end, it is about 18% of the annual sowing that happens. But this year, it is 30% of the sowing is already completed. Look at the rainfall. It has been a very good monsoon for us so far. The whole spatial distribution has been very good, which includes both the geographical distribution and the timeliness of the monsoon. So both sides, the monsoon has been progressing very well. If you look at the 36 sub-clusters that we monitor for rainfall in the country, 31 have achieved either normal rainfall or better than normal rainfall. So looking at rainfall, looking at a good Kharif sowing, a good harvest projected for Kharif, very good financial cash flow because of a very good Rabi crop, which the farmers have with them. So with good cash flow coming in, with good Kharif coming in, so looking like this is going to be a very good growth for us in the coming months also.
All right, Hemant, just request you to stay on with us. I just want to mark Axis Bank for a second because this was the ET Now news break that we got you just yesterday with respect to the mega fundraise that the bank is looking at. And now the news has been confirmed that Axis Bank is looking to raise up to 15,000 crore rupees via shares and security sale. This is on the agencies. Do remember, we had also reported that this could be via the way of QIP, share sale and PE players. We had names like Carlyle, which had shown interest as well in investing in the bank in a fresh round, and we understood as well that the existing fund, a PE fund investor, Bain Capital, is as well likely to up its stake in this round. So a quick glance at Axis Bank in today's trading session after the news has been confirmed, and that stock is currently at 431. Apologies for that, Hemant, but I want to just talk about the months of April to June because they're typically strong months for the farm equipment sector. But yes, you also got the factor of now pent-up demand added to the equation. So once that is met with, what kind of a run rate or a momentum are you foreseeing? Are you confident that we will see this sustained momentum go into the coming months too?
I can share with you that end of June, we are at our lowest stock levels ever. We absolutely had, at the end of June, we didn't have enough tractors to sell. So with that kind of throughput happening at the retail side, clearly we are looking at a very good demand. Also, the collections have been very good. This was our best collection month also for a very, very long time. The financiers are out there in the market. In the initial months of April, we had some issues where people were not able to easily travel into the hinterland, being able to approach the customers and dealers. All that is now behind us. People are out there in the market. They are contacting the customers. The financiers people are there. Offices have opened up. All 100% dealerships have opened up. We are working at almost 90% of our max capacity utilization. All our plants are working at 90 plus capacity utilization. And by having that kind of production, and after that, having that kind of retail momentum that we are left with almost like very, very low stocks, tells you the kind of momentum that we are facing currently. And the next few months will be like that only.
Okay, fair enough. Going forward then, what is the updates that you're getting from conversations with your dealers? What is the status of the kind of inquiries that are coming, since we have seen gradual unlocking? And more importantly, are you seeing this translate into an uptick in the conversion rate?
Yeah, so conversions have been very good. I mean, we basically track billing and deliveries. In fact, our deliveries are much higher than the billing. So deliveries have been very good. So conversions are very good in that sense. Also, I think I must bring in another point that the government spending in the rural side is also helping us a lot as an industry overall. And that's because if you see last year, the central spending overall for the country grew by 16.2%. Whereas if you look at the rural spending, that has gone up by 26.3%. And that is at the central government level. Now look at states. Of the 16 states that we track, the large states, they have similar kind of spending pattern for rural. They have grown up their rural spending by 20%. So overall, the spending by the central government, by the state government, the rural cash flow, good output, this is all leading into like a conflux of many positive factors, which is giving us this kind of growth. The only challenge that I see going forward is not on the demand side, not on the inquiry level side. The customer demand is good. Our dealers are giving us very positive feedback. The only challenge that I see is on the supply side. And that's where I think the whole industry will have to work very hard with along with all our suppliers, because we are getting some issues. All our suppliers are working very hard. Their manpower is coming back to that extent. So the supply chains has revved up very fast in the month of June. However, you know that some city will go into lockdown tomorrow. We really don't know. And that is creating a lot of pressure on us, because even if 500 suppliers are ready and 1 or 2 suppliers get into a lockdown situation, then all other 498 suppliers also have to wait. So I think the biggest challenge coming from us is from our supply chain. And if the suppliers can manage to ramp up as well as we have managed to ramp up, I think we are looking at a very good production output, and demand is anyway with us.
Yeah, you know, in particular, Hemant, I wanted to talk about production as well. I'll tell you why. Because, you know, we were interacting with a very prominent market dealer, or rather tractor dealer, hailing from Rajasthan about 2 weeks back or so, who flagged up concerns about fear of a stock out situation. And do you think, is this a case with any of your partners as well? Are you able to fulfill the requirement in terms of dispatches? What I want to understand is what's happening at the production level, and are you facing challenges there too?
See, getting into a big season is always a lot of planning that we do, and similarly, a lot of suppliers do a lot of planning. So we were actually building up our stocks from March onwards. And then suddenly, you know, from 22nd of March, all the plants shut down because of lockdown across the country. And then we started on 7th, 8th of May. So for almost like a little more than 6 weeks, we had zero production. Now starting from zero, where it's not like a 2-3 day shutdown, it was a 6-week shutdown. The way our plants have ramped up and the way the supply chain across the country has ramped up, I think it's really commendable. Because we have never had a situation where the entire industry was locked down for 6 weeks. And then suddenly from zero to full ramp up, where I'm saying now we are producing at 90% plus in a matter of few weeks, is really, really commendable work by the entire supply chain. However, I mean, who can anticipate what happens to COVID-19? I mean, the cases, you know, are flagging off in various hotspots across the country. And we may have situation where certain subsection of a city or an entire city is locked down. You have seen what happened in the last 10 days in the month of June, where Chennai went into a lockdown. So these kind of issues are forcing us in terms of readiness of suppliers, in terms of getting the manpower up and ready. There was a migrant manpower going back to the villages. People are coming back. Suppliers are going out of the way to call these people back to their factories. So I think some city goes into a lockdown, obviously the supply chain sitting in that city also has to follow the local norms. So that is a challenge. And unlike any other industry, I mean, auto industry, tractor industry is not that we do all our production within the four walls of our companies. I mean, this is a tiered industry where you work with your suppliers, the suppliers work with their sub-suppliers. So to that extent, it is the whole chain has to work very seamlessly. So far, so good. We have done tremendous production in the month of June. But are there challenges for July? Yes, there are challenges. We are facing challenges with some of our key suppliers where they are trying to ramp up. But I mean, there are some local administrative issues that they have to still juggle around. So these challenges will remain. It's like solving a problem 5 times, 6 times in a day where we take quick calls. But overall, demand side is very good. We have production challenges from the supply side.
Fair point. I understand your bit. What about rural financing? How is that shaping up? Because I'm sure during lockdown, just everything must have been at a standstill. But now with unlocking and the couple of government incentives as well taken up in place, are things easing when it comes to financing at least?
They have eased a lot. I mean, I can tell you that on 15th of April, we started doing servicing of tractors. This is how the whole lock down was handled separately for agri sector. So government allowed us to do servicing for our farmers, because that was the time when a lot of harvesting was happening. So as we were opening our dealerships to do service, then slowly a little bit of sales started happening. Dealerships started opening at 30%, 40% like that channel. However, the financiers were still not in that essential services list. So they were not able to go out in the farms and in the villages and contact their customers, do their due diligence. So to that extent, it was a little slower in the first 3-4 weeks, but I think now it's fully ramped up. We have not faced even a single issue in the whole month of June. Financiers are out there in the market, their offices are open, their people are going and contacting their customers. And the financing situation has eased out a lot. So going into the month of July, I see absolutely no concern on financing side. The only concern I see is with some of our suppliers, and hopefully that also we will resolve, because I think the government also is very supportive. They understand that once you do this unlockdown, the whole industry has to work like a very tiered structure, like a very smooth, well-oiled chain. And even if all the cities are working fine and you lock down 1 or 2 cities and you have key suppliers there, then the whole chain has to actually sit idle. So government, I think the local administrations understand this, and they will support the local suppliers there so that the whole chain can work.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, great to have you on the show and get in such a candid overall perspective of where things are when it comes to tractors for you, Hemant. Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Great to speak with you. Okay, that's the perspective and the lowdown coming in from M&M when it comes to farm equipment. That's tractors in particular. This after some strong numbers coming in from both Escorts as well as M&M when it comes to tractor sales for the month gone by. Still holding on to gains, 81 points higher. Good breadth as well. We'll take a very quick break on that note.